covering the High Plains with news, weather, and information. From TV 23 Studios in Sublette, this is High Plains Today.
Hi everybody, welcome to this special edition of High Plains Today. I'm joined in studio today by Ms. Joyce Warshaw. She is a candidate for the 38th Senate District right here in the great state of Kansas. Joyce, thanks for coming by today, taking time out.
Well, thank you.
Chat.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Now, you live in Dodge City, right?
I live in Dodge City.
So you're kind of up in that corner of the 38th District.
Right. Absolutely.
And that is kind of a big district, from Dodge all the way down to Liberal and down to Ashland and across.
Five different counties and a little bit of Hodgman.
There you go. All right. So, all right, let's start out, just kind of introducing you to everybody. Why did you decide to run for the state Senate?
Why did I decide to run for the state Senate? Well, I am a 30-plus year educator, and I have been an elementary principal for 18 years. I currently serve on the City Commission, and I am the mayor of Dodge City. I serve on the Dodge City Ford County Economic Development Board, the YMCA Board, and the Salvation Army Board. And all of those experiences led me to this. I just care about people so deeply, and I believe in people before politics. And I'm not so sure that politics haven't gotten out of control in Topeka, where we're losing sight of the people. So I want to bring people back to the forefront.
So, okay, and I like that. But so how will you bring people back into the picture, and politics, as we're not going to play that game anymore?
I just firmly believe that people should be able to get a hold of their legislators, and they should get responses from their legislators, and they should not be turned off by their legislators. So many of our people will, they'll come to the district and they'll promise this and they'll promise that, and then they go to Topeka and they forget where they're from. And we're really feeling the brunt end of that, I feel like, out here in Southwest Kansas. And I want to be there for the people. I want to be able to call people back here in our district, and those people that are strong in ag or strong in economic development or whatever, and I can call them or they can call me and help be the voice for Topeka.
Sounds like you're a little disgusted with the way things have kind of gone in Topeka over the last few years.
I am very disgusted with the way things have gone in Topeka. We've been with the Brownback experiment now for 6 years. And when I look at my opponent and his votes, he's a rubber stamp for Brownback, as are many legislators up there. And we need to put a stop to that.
So do you think that this election cycle that there's going to be a lot of turnover? Are you hoping there's going to be a lot of turnover?
I am hoping there will be a lot of turnover, because we've got to get back to the basics that made Kansas strong. Those Republican values of, balancing a budget, not robbing from Peter to pay Paul, strong quality education, great infrastructure and highways and bridges and that type of thing. Currently we don't have the money to keep those up because we have borrowed so much from KDOT to balance our budget. Where are we going to be in 50 years? We're okay now, but 4 years down the road, and some of these roads won't be looked at for 50 years. That scares me.
Okay, so you look at that and you bring up the Brownback experiment, and we'll just leave that at that. But how will you change that? I mean, you've got all kinds of legislators, not only some of the Kansas delegation in Washington, as well as a lot of them in Topeka, that sign these no tax, the tax pledge that they won't raise taxes. I mean, are we going to have to look at something about raising taxes or not?
My opponent voted for the largest tax increase in the history of Kansas. We have the second highest sales tax in the nation and the highest sales tax on food. That is not Republican values.
So what would you do to change that? I mean, are we going to have to
I think what we need to do is, my personal opinion, and I haven't been to Topeka yet, so I know there's a whole lot of, things that feed into that. But I believe that we need to go back and look at the 2012 tax experiment and see how we could readjust that. Because originally, I think it was in good faith. But of course, gas and oil went down, the recession, all kinds of things played into that. But at that point, we were looking at 190,000 LLCs that would get tax breaks. We are now up to 330 LLCs that are getting tax breaks.
330,000, right?
I'm sorry, 330,000. Thank you for the
correction. You got to put the comma in there.
I know. Hey, educator, my bad. But anyway, so, in that regard, who's paying taxes? Middle class and lower middle class are stuck with paying those taxes. And not that I don't agree with some tax cuts for LLCs, but I think we need to set that up in a different format, maybe different parameters, different timelines. I'm not quite sure what that would entail, but I think we've got to start looking at what revenues we can bring into the state.
Okay. All right. Hold that thought right there. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to ask you some stuff that was in some local media lately about some tweets that allegedly you had sent or retweeted. That
well, I appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Stick around. I'll be back with more with Joyce right after this.
You're watching High Plains Today on TV 23 with host Chris Jewell. TV 23's internet service and 4G live streaming provided by United Wireless. Coverage you deserve. Service you expect. United Wireless.
And we're back. I am joined in studio today by Joyce Warsha. She is the candidate for the 38th District Senate seat coming up this August in the primary. She's running against Bud Estes, and that happens on August 2nd. Joyce? Now, we were talking about your platform and some stuff as to why you got into running for the state Senate. And recently, at the end of last week, there was a couple of newspaper articles that came out that were kind of critical of you as far as some tweets you had sent out or had retweeted on Twitter about not really being quite a conservative or a Republican at all.
True. It's very true. Article came out, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to be upfront. I have no reason to lie. I wouldn't want to lie. I had a Twitter account, and I remember opening the Twitter account. First of all, you need to know I am not tech savvy.
You're challenged. You're
wrong generation for tech savvy, But through the school district, we did open a Twitter account. And but when this all came out, we found out that there were 3 Twitter accounts out there of mine. I have no idea how the other 2 came about or where they came about. Also, my husband, and he is what he is, God love him, but he had access to all of that. And I will admit to you that he is liberal. He's liberal and I'm conservative, but it works. Who knows?
That makes for an interesting dinner conversation some days.
It does from time to time. But you know what? I learned early on, keep your enemies close.
There you go.
So
okay.
I learn a lot from his liberal views, and I can come right back at him with some conservative views. But anyway, point being is, I don't personally remember tweeting those or liking those. I'm not saying I didn't, but I'm guessing it was more my husband. The other thing that's interesting about all of this is they picked and chose what they took pictures of and printed in the paper, because there were a lot of tweets. I know for a fact that I tweeted, during the Republican, when we had so many debates, John Kasich, I think he's amazing. There were other tweets of conservative values and beliefs, so for whatever reason, those didn't show up in the newspaper article.
Because one of them that they pinpointed that was, you were a huge fan of Obamacare and of President Obama.
Here's the number one thing that I think we are losing in the United States, and that is the fact that he is our president. Now, do I agree with him and do I like everything he does? No, but I will respect him as our president. And I think that we have lost a lot of that. The Obamacare, no, I cannot support Obamacare as it is. I think Kansas can do their own and work around that, but no, I cannot support Obamacare.
What about the Medicaid issue that's been such a hot topic in Kansas?
It is a hot topic. It is a hot topic. And I'll be truthful with you, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I believe Kansas can do a good job. When you look at CanCare, and that's the way I would prefer to talk about it, is CanCare, we need to look at that seriously because presently we have 84 critical care hospitals. 71 of them are in jeopardy because of this CanCare expansion or whatever it entails. And I don't have the answers. I'm going to be new into the Senate, so I haven't been up there for that experience. But I do believe that we as strong legislators for the people can find a better way.
Okay. And then one of the other things that they were talking about was, that, all right, Elizabeth Warren and Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, and you are just in favor of voting for Hillary, and you should get out the votes for Hillary, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, and I don't know what to say about that. Again, that may have been my husband. I'm supposing it probably was because, I was all about the Republican primary, and that's where we're at today. This primary vote in August is a do or die thing for the state of Kansas, and I think it's very important that voters get out. Now, why that was tweeted, I don't know. I probably tweeted something on the conservative side of getting out for that primary vote.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. I mean, and you did say something in the article about, these are all national issues, but nothing was ever brought up about state issues.
No, and to me, that is a classic career politician's ploy, because if they want to stay away from their votes and what they've done or not done for Southwest Kansas, they're going to start addressing their opponent's values, moral values, or whatever they can attack. So I personally feel like it was a ploy to get away from the Kansas issues. And those issues being, we can't balance a budget. We're not funding schools appropriately. We are robbing from KDOT, and our highways and infrastructures are going to suffer. We have the highest tax raise in history of Kansas, and that was all due to my opponent, his vote.
All right.
So I believe that whoever chose to publish that article, whoever was fed into that article, were trying to take that view away from my opponent so that we weren't as good Kansas voters looking at what he has or has not done for Southwest Kansas.
All right. We're going to leave that right there. Stay right there.
Okay.
Because we're going to come back and do another segment with Joyce right after this. And welcome back, Joyce Warshaw. She is the candidate for the 38th Senate District in the state of Kansas, joining us today on this special edition of High Plains Today. All right, Joyce, we've talked about a lot of stuff, and in a recent newspaper article, they tried to paint you less than a conservative. Mm-hmm. They said, all right, you're either a Republican and you toe the Republican line, or you're a Democrat and you toe the Democratic line. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, is that possible in today's day and age to actually just be all Republican or all Democrat?
In today's day and age, as in any day and age, in my beliefs is, my core values are definitely more conservative. That fiscal conservative, balancing the budget, keeping a savings account, all of those types of things. I am true conservative. Do I read what the liberals have to say and what their stand is? Absolutely. Absolutely. I will read that and digest it and then try to compare the two so that I am quite certain that I'm conservative. I'm on that side of the coin, and I feel very comfortable with that. I don't know that our legislators that are claiming to be so conservative right now in Topeka and or Washington, D.C. are really all that. Because fiscal conservative people would not let a budget get out of hand.
So do you think that right now, that Democrats and Republicans, that there's too much partisan politics going on and not enough, hey, Mr. Democrat, I'm a Republican, let's see if we can work something out?
Right. I totally agree with that. I think we have to work across the aisle. I think we have to be avid listeners to one another. Does that mean I'm going to give up my values? No. That does not mean I'm going to give up my Republican values or my Southwest Kansas values to take care of what needs to happen out here. But I do think I need to listen, because that's when we can come to a conclusion that's going to serve the best interest of all people, and get that party venue out of the picture, so to speak.
Okay, so how do you answer when someone says to you, all right, you say you're a Republican, but you turn around and do something that's kind of over here where, the big word now is rhino, Republican in name only. And it's gonna become a little more moderate as opposed to being clear over here to the right and more conservative. I mean, how do you answer somebody that says something like, well, it's honorable to do one thing, it's not honorable to do one thing and say another? I mean, how do you answer them when they're looking at you as, all right, I want you in Topeka, how are you going to handle this?
All right, now I'm not real sure what you're asking here, so if I get off track, you get me back on track,
all right.
Okay?
Well, mainly I want to know is if some Democrats come to you with a great idea and you think it's going to help the people of Southwest Kansas and those types of things, I mean, is it time to toe the party line? Or do we need to be a little more open-minded and
right?
Well, I mean, what would you do?
I personally believe we need to be open-minded. And if I was working with some Democrats up in Topeka, and I liked what they were saying, probably the first thing I would do is get on the phone to some of my key people here in Southwest Kansas that have those Southwest Kansas Republican values, and I'd say, what are you thinking? Listen to me on this. Give me some feedback and what your thoughts are. But I am very open to listening to both sides of the venue. I just think we need to make good, solid decisions, because I don't know that one party is always going to be 100% right or another party is going to be 100% right. I think we have to be open to each other.
But, for the last several years during the Brownback experiment, it really hasn't been that way in Topeka.
And where has it gotten us? Where has it gotten us?
Well,
we have an unbalanced budget. We're not funding schools. Dodge City lost $1.5 million in funding.
Okay, let's talk about education funding now that, because you are a professional educator.
Absolutely.
Have been for a number of years.
Right. And I hope to retire, but what are they doing for capers?
Well, that money comes from Topeka into the bank, turns around and goes back to Topeka, and they count that as funding. And now property tax.
That is money I worked for.
Yes, and all counties now, instead of saying, here, Dodge City Public Schools, here's your money from Ford County. No, it goes to Topeka, it comes back, and they tell you, here's more funding.
Right.
They count it to plug a hole. So how would you fix educational funding?
Well,
you're an educator, and if you're in Topeka and they're going to say, Joyce, how do we fix this?
Well, number one, I'm a localist too. And I believe in local government taking care of local government. So I am totally against sending that LOB money back up to Topeka and then back to us. That I cannot swallow that at all, So I think we need to look at that. I also think we need to look at the different districts. Our district is totally different than some of your Northeast districts. Now, they have their challenges as we have our challenges, but I believe that good, solid people working in government can come together and work out a formula that's going to serve those children as well as it's going to serve Southwest Kansas's children. So I think there's a lot of avenues in that funding situation that we're going to have to trudge down a little bit and talk about. But when we lose in Dodge City alone $1.5 million, what are some of these other districts out in Southwest Kansas doing? How are they sustaining that? No wonder our teachers are running off to Nebraska or Colorado or wherever. We can't find teachers because they want to scurry out of Kansas as fast as they can.
All right.
And that bothers me. And jobs. We're losing jobs in Kansas through all this.
All right, we got about a minute left. Is there anything you want to tell me about Joyce Warsha, candidate for the 38th district?
You know, I want to tell you, I am a Republican. I care about people. I believe people before politics. I believe in quality education. I believe in balanced budgets. I believe in safe roads and infrastructure. I believe in smaller government, and I do not believe in raising taxes. I want what's best for the people in Southwest Kansas. I want Southwest Kansas values to still be out there loud and strong, because Kansas is a great place to live. It's a great place to work, and it's a great place to raise your families. And I want it to stay that way. I want it to stay that way. I want to be your voice in Topeka. I want to be people before politics.
Joyce, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. It was nice meeting you today.
All right.
I love chatting with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
And thanks for tuning in to this special edition of High Plains Today. Join us next time.
Keep up to date with the latest information from TV 23 on our Facebook page, KDGL TV.